talking. Oh, man.
Talking big noise.
We're going to jump right into it, man. I ain't an intro kind of guy. But
Okay.
we're going to break this down. 2 state championships
Right, yeah.
in 5 years, right? Did I get that right? In 6. Okay.
Yes.
Well, first of all, congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. But, those who know how long you've been banging on that door.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Throughout your
Yeah.
career to grab that brass ring. So we got a chance to talk off the record about the first one.
Yeah.
But man, take me through the whole journey to get that first one and the emotions that you displayed once that final play was made and the game was over.
The first one was
2018, by the way.
2018. The first one was a process of 4 years. When we first got here, they didn't have off season, and we had to do a lot of teaching. We didn't do as much coaching as we wanted to.
Big difference.
So we had a bunch of kids, and we knew the first off season would make a difference in our players. And the ones who stayed, that worked at off season, it really showed. It was a combination of 4 years from that first class of kids, our very first class, and that fourth year is when we won it, and we kind of won it in dramatic fashion. I say that because the first game we won 16-3. Game 2 we won 18-0. The last game we ended up winning 5-4, but we trailed all the way up to the last inning, and they made a mistake and we capitalized on it, and the pitcher kind of got in a funk where she couldn't throw a strike, and she walked in 3 or 4 runs, and before you know it, the score is tied, and we're going into the 8th inning, and I'm sitting up thinking like, oh God, that's when you start to get nervous because you just hope your players come through, and sure enough, Ellie Griffin got the big base hit to send us, up 5-4, and then we just went out and just made plays, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, the game's over, and I'm running out there, to right field, looking to see if the ball's gonna go over the fence to our left field. I see our left fielder stop, throw the glove up. I just go in and catch it. And once she caught it, I was just like running around, excited, didn't know really. I knew what had happened, but you really don't know what has happened. And then Casey said, I always disappear, and everybody's jumping up and excited, and you're hugging the first person you see, and we finally got to embrace each other because it was his second, it was my first, and after 24 years of grinding and working and putting in time and saying this and saying that and telling the kids it's going to happen, when it finally happens, you kind of feel a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
But, just like anything else, it only lasts for about 3 or 4 weeks, then you're back at the ground again. Back at the ground again, because people expect, a little bit more the next time. Hey, we're going to win another one. But people don't realize they're not handed out.
Oh, my God, it's so hard.
They're not handed out.
Man, okay, did it add any extra gratification considering who the opponent was?
Well, it's somewhat yes and somewhat no. Me and Keith talked that if you want to win it, you want to beat the team that has done it before, and Carl Albert was going for 3 in a row.
Oh yeah,
and it was. I don't want to sound bad, but it was nice to spoil that.
Right.
But you want to beat the best, so you got to play the best to beat the best, and we ended up beating them. So, that was I wouldn't say pure gratification, but it felt good that it was Carl Albert.
Yeah.
And not somebody that upset them or anything like that. So it was probably the 2 best teams in the state of Oklahoma at that time.
And see, I've known you for quite some time, and you've always been somebody who knows. I'll just call it what it is. You know your shit. So, how much stock did you before, or do you now put into a coach's career, whether they have a state championship on their resume or not? I know that doesn't define you as a coach, but it matters though to competitors to some degree.
To competitors, it does, but you've been in this game long enough to know that great coaches never win one. Good coaches never win one. You can grind, and it depends on what class you're in too. 6A is totally different from 5A. 5A is totally different from 4A. You just want to get that opportunity to be there. Right. And that's what we tell our kids. Hey, give us a chance to get there and let us coach you through it. And that was the big thing because they had never been there, and they had to take our advice, and they had to listen to what we were trying to tell them to get to that point.
Right.
And I think they believed in us because they could see the effects of off season. They could see the effects of implementing our program as far as, cuts, bunt defenses, and how we do things and how we work at practice and all of that type of stuff. So all of it kind of just came to a head at the right time. And, the fans and parents started believing in us because of what their kids were saying about the coaching staff. So that made it all so much better.
Right. So I'm guessing the kids bought in before the parents did.
Yeah, our kid. Well, there are people who always say, philosophy of, hey, try to make the parents happy, or it's hard to make everybody happy.
Always.
But our philosophy is, you win the kid, you win the parent, because the kid is going to convince the parent, hey, coaches are doing this and this and this. And if the kid goes home and talks enough good about the coach, the parents will follow their kid along because they trust their kid's judgment when it comes to that particular coach. And that's our philosophy. I'm not saying, that works, but it works for us.
Right. When you all first took over the program in the fall of, let's say the spring of 2016, right?
Well, fall. We came in the summer of 2016.
Okay.
And our first season was the fall of 2016.
Right. Got it. Well, you guys were coming off of the heels of a coach that was relatively beloved by a lot of those
Yes,
girls.
it was kind of weird how when we came in, we didn't realize how much pressure and how much the community wanted to keep that coach. So we had to overcome all of that and keep working and keep working and keep grinding and keep grinding. And, there was some hard times, there was some rough times, there was also some good times.
Right.
So working through all of that and helping the kids understand where we were trying to get to and why we were doing certain things was some bit of a struggle. But once they started to see what we were talking about and how it worked, they started understanding and realizing, hey, it's a little different, but they know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And that second year, it was no issues about why we're doing what we're doing. It was all about coaching that second year. Teaching kids and correcting, certain things, certain flaws in their swings. People don't really understand the innate differences of catching the fly ball on your left foot as a right-hander and finishing. We always tell them, if you're an outfielder, if you take 3 steps, they're taking 6. So, teaching them the little nuances of catching the fly ball on their left foot as a right-hander, pushing through and getting rid of it in 1 or 2 steps. Because a kid that can run 60 feet bases, you can blink and they'll be safe. It won't even be close. So
you just gave a lightweight tutorial just right then and there. Now, I got this philosophy, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a point in every season where every coach, no matter what sport you coach, you start to see your team turning that corner. In other words, they're forming an identity of who you think that, we could ultimately get to this point. Would you say that happened at all during the first season, or it didn't happen at all till the second one?
It happened in the second season. I can tell you exactly when it happened.
Okay.
We were playing Duncan at Duncan. Kennedy Moorlock, who she was our second baseman on the state championship team, but she was in center field. There was a ball hit in left center that went to the wall. She picked it up, turned, and threw a girl out, trying to stretch it into a double. And I think that was the big turning point for everybody, because all of a sudden they realized what the weight program can do for you. Makes your arms stronger. Ball started jumping off bats, a little bit harder. And our athletic director at the time, Lane Jones, said, wow, sounds like gunshots coming off y'all's bats. And it got to the point where, we was doing off season. Now Piedmont not only has 1 strength coach, but we have 2 now with the new weight room. So, everybody is getting into doing the off season program, even though their season is over. And people don't realize how much that benefits high school kids, especially when they go to college. Because we had a lot of kids come back and tell us, I'm so glad y'all showed us how to clean and how to snatch and how to do all of that. We felt comfortable in the weight room. We had a kid going to visit 2 days ago to a college, and the coach told her, hey, we're looking at you, we're going to pay attention, this is how we do our things. We like to lift weights in the off season. We're not worried about you as far as weightlifting goes, because we've seen y'all and we know y'all's program, we know y'all's coaches, so the weight room won't scare you. So that kind of makes us feel good, and kids buy in it, kids love it. I mean, it's to the point now where we don't even control our weightlifting. We leave that up to the strength coaches. We take care of the conditioning and everything outside of the weightlifting, which helps us quite a bit.
That's a hell of a feature. Ideally, every school would need to have something like that, because it's coaches. We got a lot on our plate from an instructional standpoint as it is. Okay, so that was the first state title run 3 years ago, and see, I'm harping on that magic number of 3 because obviously, to me anyway, when you win a state title, that indicates sort of the end of an era, and then
Right.
you starting the whole thing over again. And here we go, 3 years later, you get that ultimate reward again. But that lets me know you graduated some, and then you brought in some more as babies, and now here they are as the big dogs, and they get a chance to see what it's all about.
Yeah.
What are the differences between the feeling of that first one versus this one here?
The feeling of the first one was a culmination of 4 years. The second one was a little bit tougher because we graduated all of those seniors in 2018.
True.
The following year, we still had a good year. You know, we've won 5 district titles in a row, undefeated. And we got to the point where we went to regionals that we was hosting. Dale City comes in and gets a move in, a pitcher that throws about 63, 64, and our kids was like, whoa, they were just like overwhelmed because she came from Midwest City. We called some coaches like Southmore, Moore, that played against us, said, Coach, she's for real. And our kids were overwhelmed because we was playing a lot of young kids at the time.
Yeah.
So we made an adjustment in that summer to try to play the Yukons, the Deer Creeks, and all those pitches where they could see that type of pitching. So those kids that were freshmen that went 30 and 60 in the district got beat out in the regionals had that bad taste in their mouth. And, you know, we never let them forget it. Don't take anything for granted. So the following year, which was 2021, this year, we come out and we just, I mean, kids bought in. They started playing hard and doing things that we asked them to do even though they were young. We knew we had the potential to win it, but would it come together at the right time? And, you know, you just go through the season, you grind, and you correct, and you practice, and you work, and you keep telling them, hey, we're doing this, and trying to come up with different things from 18 to 21 is the big difference in, you know, the way you practice, how you do things, because kids know your system now.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't got to teach anymore. You get to coach. You know, we've added a few more drills, you know, by going to clinics and seeing things.
Trying to stay innovative?
Yeah, trying to stay innovative and stay up with the latest things that's going on at, you know, D1s and JUCOs and all of those type places and everything, and you try to pick up that might work for our program. It didn't work, no, trash it. You know what I'm saying? You give it a try. If it doesn't work for your program, then you don't do it.
Right.
But some drills have, and we really like them, and the kids like them, and we just kind of go from there. You know, just like we go on a road trip, if we play at home, we have a hidden circuit that we do. That's what when we do go on the road. We pack up all our sock nets and poot balls, I call them little heavy balls, and we take all of those with us, and we do our same hidden circuit on the road that we do at home. The kids know we're going to get there an hour before. You know, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. We're going to start warming up here at such a time. And I don't have to tell them, hey, let's go. They'll see me walking out there, see me set up. They go set up their lines, and we go through our warm-up, go through our hidden circuit. It's time to go play. So, I mean, it's not like, it's nothing new. It ain't nothing strange. And the older kids now telling the young kids, hey, we want to do it like that. This is how it's done. You don't want to buy in? I mean, you know, we tell them all the time, if you show us you can play as a freshman, we'll put you in the game. And we're not going to put you in the game against people that can't play. We're going to stick you out there against Southmore. We're going to stick you out there against Westmore. We're going to stick you out there competition to see if you can handle it. You know, and we don't get caught up in wins and losses early because it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. And we got to find out if you put a kid in a pressure situation during the season when it comes to the state tournament time with all the crowd yelling, they block out all that crowd noise and they're ready to handle that pressure at that particular time. Because, you know, this year we won the first game 12-2. We was more worried about the first game than anything after that.
That's always the hardest game of any tournament to win.
Plus you playing at Reno. We played at Reno and we already played them twice. And we already had ruled them twice.
Oh, yeah, see.
And so we was hoping these kids don't take it for granted. And it was always a dogfight for 4 or 5 innings until the last 2 we finally pulled away. Same thing kind of happened in this game. But in game 2 we played Pryor, which we had played 2 other times and had to beat them. And you're sitting up thinking like, God, it's going to be a dog because they had a great pitch to do a great rise ball. You know, me and Coach Coleman, we had, you know, a lot of people don't know that we fuss and fight during the game. Hey, we need to do this. No, I was like, dude, I'm trying to tell you. And so then we come to a compromise. So, and that's kind of the way it is because, you know, you're working and you want to win. He has a competitive spirit. I have a competitive spirit. And, you know, I say my spiel, he says his, but he's the head coach. So we do what he says. I just give my input and he goes from there. And, you know, we ended up beating Pryor 1-0 because we had been in those situations before where, you know, pitching and defense wins games. You know, we have certain players that play offense, certain players that play defense. In the course of a game, if a kid comes up and hit and might not bat for another 2 or 3 innings, we'll put the better defender in because in softball you can re-enter. So that is how we try to work it. It's like basketball, offense for defense.
Yes, sir.
The same way in softball. You know, people don't realize how sports correlate. You know, and things like that. In football, you got a defensive unit and you got an offensive unit. In basketball, you got defensive specialists, you got offensive specialists, depending on how the situation goes and things like that. And we, you know, apply that to softball. So We won that one 1-0. Then we go against Coweta, the defending state champ. They got everybody back too.
Oh,
they're winning.
another dogfight.
They're winning 2-hole. They're talking about hit the ball one step. They had first base. They that fast, and they can play too. And it was 1-0 through 5-6 innings. All of a sudden they tied up. They got some momentum. We sitting there scratching our head. Hey, ladies, just relax.
We've been here before.
We've been here before. They hadn't, but we had. Mm-hmm. So that's when coaching comes in. True. Calm your kids down. Hey, this is what we're going to do. Don't forget about this. Our big goal is, hey, always be good on deck. Because if you practice and you work, when you get in pressure situations, your body's going to always revert to do what it's always done. If you haven't trained it or retaught it, it's going to go back to the way it was. So you've done your work. We've done this. We've corrected some things. Now just go relax and play. So one of our players got up, who's been in our program 3 years, Paige Atha, hits a little fly ball. She kind of tries to first base. I'm losing it. Guess what? Hits off the girl's heel of her glove and falls to the ground. She's at first base and she turns around and you talking about riding her, jumping her, because she could have been at second base if she would have been hustling, but it didn't work out that way. Yeah. So Ava Humphreys, who's a senior, who played for us a lot last year, didn't get to play quite as much because of those young kids, come up, we're calling her to get the bunt down. Guess what she does? She gets the bunt down. All of a sudden, pressure makes water run uphill.
Yeah, it does.
And then all of a sudden, the pitcher fumbles the ball. Next we got first and second, nobody out. Here comes another kid that's been in our program 2 or 3 years and been around us a long time, Arby Powell. She gets the bunt down, moves runners to second and third base. That brings up the 5A2 player of the year, our leadoff hitter, Carissa Figner, who's going to Grand Canyon University. And what do? Put her on first base. So here comes Shibble, who's the pitcher, who's been in our program 2 years, who I've had in weightlifting from 7th grade and 8th grade, who's always been dreaming about playing softball. And she gets up there, and they move their infield in to try to cut the run off the plate because that's the run at the bottom of the 7th. She hits a hard ground ball to the girl's left, and it's hard enough it nips off of her glove and hits the ground. Next thing you know, Paige Atha crosses the plate. You see the umpire say safety, and all of a sudden they went crazy. Mm-hmm. I fall straight down to the field, and I just lay out there and just saying, whew. Because the pressure of getting up to that point and the pressure all the way up to that point, people don't realize how stressful that is, especially when you starting 5 sophomores, freshmen, and kids that have never been to the state tournament. They had 0 state tournament experience except for Carissa. So all this is all new to those kids. You got the crowd up there, and Piedmont has a great crowd. I commend them on showing up and being loud and, and supporting the kids and all of that type stuff and everything. And I mean, you have to teach them to block that out. We always tell them, we played on the big field. Don't let the venue dictate how you play.
You said that 3 years ago.
Yep, bases are still 60 feet.
That's right.
Rubber is still 43 feet. The fence is still 200 feet. Don't let the size of the venue affect how you play. Mm-hmm. So, it was a great game, and come to find out, the head coach's dad was his assistant, Dunn. Come to find, I look at him, he looked at me, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, what's your name?" He said, "Hughes, you don't remember me?" He was the head coach of Broken Down Baseball when I was coaching baseball at Muskogee in '98.
Wow.
We sat there and brought up a little bit of time. Oh, we got to go to this game, don't we? So, but after the game, I went and talked to him, and hey, y'all do a great job. He just said, too bad somebody has to win, too bad somebody has to lose. Yeah. It's the same way with Pryor and Looney. I have a respect for what he does at his program. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. During the course of the game, in about the 5th inning, he goes by Coach Coleman and says, "Hey, do me a favor. You take out your pitcher, I take out my pitcher." In the state tournament. So, it's just dog fights. And, you keep trying and you keep working and you get a runner on. You're trying to do whatever you can to try to get that run across the plate, whether it be bunting, trying to put pressure on people, seeing how they doing that bunt coverages and all of that type of stuff. So, you have to be prepared for those people like the Pryors and the Cowetas and the Duncans and the Guthries and all those folks that can play back.
Powerhouse,
I can't remember who it was, but I think it was from a movie. The guy said, "Everybody got to play until you get hit."
Yeah, till you get hit. I think I heard that from Mike Tyson. Yeah. Everybody got to play until you get hit.
Till you get hit. The question is, are you going to hit back? And that's we hit back. Yeah. Because Coweta had come from behind in every game they had played at the state tournament. We was fortunate enough to be where we were the number 1 seed, so we got the 11 o'clock game. So we won, so we watched the next 2. Mm-hmm. Then we won ours, so then we watched the next one, and we came up with a pretty good plan about how they pitch and what their hitters like, and we tried to pitch to those hitters' weaknesses, and everything worked out for us as far as swinging the bat, getting things done, putting pressure, and all of that type of stuff. So it kind of worked out for us.
Listen, when it comes to preparation, no, forget that. Another P word. When it comes to pressure, do you think that pressure is mainly self-induced? You know what I mean? Because you're a perfectionist kind of guy. So a lot of time when I see you, looking all stressful, I know that you pushing you more than anybody else could ever push you.
Well, I mean, my big thing is, me and Keith are totally different. Mm-hmm. Keith won't, jump a kid. He'll say, hey, you just need to get it better. Me, I'm going nuts. I'm going ballistic.
That's right.
That's our contrasting styles. Uh-huh. And he'll tell him that, hey, he said, I won't fuss at you, but that guy over there,
oh yeah,
he gonna get you.
He coming at you.
And this is one of our biggest things. We will never fuss at you or get upset if something happens in the game we haven't covered or we've been over. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we try to put them in every situation, every scenario. We even have what we call a pride drill, because one time we played pride and they just kind of ran on us and ran on us and ran on us. We didn't get mad at the kids, we got mad at ourselves. Hey, we got to come up with a drill for that. So we came up with a drill for that. So that alleviated that, so they have no excuse. Right. So we try to take away, I didn't know. Because if kids don't know in a game or something like that, it really doesn't fall on the kid. That falls back to the coach. So we try to prepare them for every possible situation that they possibly could be. You can't sometimes, but you try to as much as you can, because we can't simulate that little flare fly ball off of a bat in the game. We can't simulate that little soft liner that goes over the pitcher, hits the dirt, and nobody gets to it. You can't simulate those.
You can talk about it.
You can talk about it, but it's hard to simulate those in games. Man. Our catchers were having troubles catching balls off the bat up to the batter, so we got the pitching machine out and just boom, 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 and all of a sudden, guess what happens in the state tournament? Key, fly ball, back up to the back, catcher goes over there, and she had trouble all year, but she caught that one.
See?
Because we knew she had trouble all year, so hey, we need to practice it. We need to practice it more. We need to do this more. We need to do that more. And she had a great state tournament. She threw every runner that ran, she threw out 95% of them. She threw out everything on the back pick. I mean, it seemed like whatever we called worked. It was just like magic. I mean, like, we're going to throw AD out at second base because he's cheating. Boom, boom, out. And you're like, yes.
Stars aligning.
Yeah, so, I mean, it really did. And it seems like odd years do us best. Yeah. Keith won his first one in 2009 when my wife Heidi was helping him coach. 10 years later, 2019, we won it. Then 2021, we won it. So our years seem to be great years for us. I don't know why, but it just seems like it. We've been there. 2017, we were state runner-up.
Right, I remember that
2018, we made it to the semis. 19 is when we won it. Last year of 20 is when we got beat out in the regional, and then 21 is when we won it. So, I mean, I don't know if it's the number or just the way things fall, because you got to have a little bit of luck.
Absolutely.
And you can't have major injuries. I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize, you get hurt in softball. Yeah, my best pitcher was at work, because Shibahoot didn't swing the bat for 4 to 5 weeks of the season because she's at work and she walks dogs and works at a vet. Dog takes off running, the leash gets caught up in her finger. She's in a splint. She can't even swing a bat. So she can still pitch, but she can't hit. So when it comes to doing her drills, she did everything one-handed. So she was still in the flow of swinging the bat, but her timing when it comes to pitching wasn't there. So we tried to get her as many at-bats as we could when she could start swinging the bat. So, I mean, you're sitting up thinking, she was the 5A2 player of the year as a freshman. Right. 577, hit 577, hit about 6-7 home runs, and she was very productive for us as a freshman. We was like, oh yeah, we get Shibahoot and this, and this, and we get, Tabor Moss moved in with us this year. We hired a mom as assistant, and we get this going on. We're going to be rolling. All of a sudden, Shibahoot gets hurt. You're like, for real?
Can't plan for that.
You can't plan for that. So what do? Pressure for somebody else. Hey, you got to go play.
Right.
We tell kids, hey, you one play away. We always say you one play away. They don't believe us. But when we tell them, hey, you one play away, you just one play away.
Oh, yeah, and momentum is a mother. Mm-hmm. And then once it swings, it's hard to get it back.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. And then all of a sudden that kid goes out there and produces, and you're like, okay, we can't take him out now. They doing what we ask them to do. But our system is based on production. Mm-hmm. So if you're producing, we can't just set this kid out there as producing too. So, who we playing? Okay, we'll play this one. Who we playing this one? Okay, we're going to put this one here. Who's pitching this one? So
great problem to have.
Yeah, we're going to pitch this way, so we need to put this one here and stuff like that. So we kind of do our defense and position players based on who's pitching and how we pitching people. Mm-hmm. So that's why some of those young ones got to play, and they showed us they can handle the pressure. Hey, you can go play defense. You know, you might not be able to swing it right now. You're not may able to hit it on the level yet, but you can play defense, so you can still help us. And they bought in and believed in it, and all of a sudden now they're getting them a 6XL ring. So they're like, yeah, I said, you can enjoy it for about 3 weeks till November 8th when we start off season, and all the process all starts over.
Next Monday,
yeah,
man.
you know, Monday's coming up. You know, we usually give them, because we go so long with our club, summer, fall, we give them after the state tournament. Even whether we in it or not, we always give them off to that second week of November, 3 weeks before Christmas. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, get Thanksgiving off. Then 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas, you know, get that Christmas break, and then we'll come in and go 5 to 6 weeks of weightlifting, and we'll start working our way back into softball, back into the spring, summer. Right, next thing you know, it's 2022. We're ready to play again.
Well-oiled machine.
Well, it's not. Well, I would say it's a well-oiled machine. A work in progress.
Work in progress, always.
Yeah. We sprinkle some more to take away this squeak and that squeak. Yeah. Going from there.
Listen, I got a theory, and I want you to, give me your feedback on it. I think there's a difference between being prepared and being ready.
Okay.
And I think preparation is something that we do every day in practice as coaches. We're going over the X's and O's. We're going over player tendencies. We're looking at different schemes, what we need to do as a team to be effective against whatever they're coming with, or we're trying to figure out how to deal with what they're coming with.
Right.
But I think being ready is intangible.
Well,
it's like if you scared, ain't nothing I can do for you.
Ain't nothing you can do for you, because when you're scared, you're gonna lock up.
That's right.
You know, that's why people say, "Why you so loud? Why you this? Why you that?" I said, I do that so they'll be ready, because the crowd's gonna be loud. The crowd is gonna be on them. And if we can do that in practice, then the game ain't gonna bother me. I remember one of my former players who went to college, and the coach jumped on him and like, "Yes, sir," went about his business. Coach jumped him again. "Yes, sir," went about his business. Then the coach called him in the office and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He said, "I can jump you, and it doesn't faze you. You say, 'Yes, sir,' go about your business, keep playing." Other players I jumped, they're ready to quit and go home. He says, "Coach, you ain't got nothing on my coach in high school. He rolled me in much harder than you ever thought about riding me." So to me, that's being ready.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not ready for it, because it's different. Everybody does things differently. You have to adapt to that coach, just like I have to adapt to that kid. I know which kid I can jump and which ones I can't. I know which ones I need to love on and which ones I don't. You know, and I know I'm figuring out now when to and when not to. That is the big thing. And I always tell them, I'm not going to treat you any different at practice than I do at the game. If I'm not intense at practice, how can I be intense in the game? So that's the way I am. It's just like, we got a few little sayings. Hey, don't be surprised. Expect the ball.
True.
Don't be surprised. Don't be out there, oh, here comes the ball. No, you don't be surprised. Expect it.
Ready.
Because I tell the players all the time, I said, I feel sorry for the pitcher and catcher. It's like, why? I said, they working every pitch, every play. Y'all might get a play off here or there. So if a ball is hit, you should be going somewhere. Don't spectate, participate.
Ooh.
You got to be doing something.
Like that.
You got to be doing something, even though you don't get a ball. And kids now are like, hey, they telling each other, hey, run the first base, next time you cut, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Kids should be going somewhere. If you want to spectate, go in the stand, get you some popcorn and pop, watch the game. And we'll say that. Hey, give me some of that popcorn that you eating. And it get to the point now where they don't spectate anymore. They're gone.
Everybody's locked in.
Yes, everybody's locked in and paying attention and going and all of that type of stuff. So that's the big thing. Keith has his saying, hey, compete a little bit. Compete a little bit.
I like that.
You got to fight. It's I hate to use that term, fight or compete or this or this, but that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
Our kids are so, I wouldn't say they're true suburban kids. They don't have to go through some of the things that other kids have to go through. They don't have to worry about, if we say be there at 6, we don't have to worry about them getting there. The parents will get them there. And the big thing is you have to put them in situations where they feel pressure, because they don't have some of the pressures that other groups of kids have. So we have to put them in those type of situations in practice. So when the pressure comes, they don't crack. They can handle that pressure and go from there. And that's the big thing I think that we do as far as, out of season versus in season. If you working hard, you don't have to worry about it. This one, I still remember, Kenny Luck told me one time we was practicing, he who works the hardest surrenders last. And I was like, Now, that went over my head at 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
But now that I'm 53, that hit me right here.
Right in the throat.
I know exactly what he means. He who works the hardest surrenders last. So if you put your time in and you working, dadgummit, you going to earn this victory. I'm not going to give it to you.
That's right.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah,
you're going to have to take it. So, and that's what people are not going to just roll out and die and say, oh, you Piedmont, so I'm going to let y'all have a state championship. No, it ain't going to be like that. They're going to fight you, too, because we don't want to win the game just as bad as we did.
For real.
I mean, if I looked on our Peabody Athletics page, and I got to see the very last play, because you don't get to see the whole picture.
No, you
just get to see a perspective. So when I kind of watched it and I saw it, first thing I looked at was the Coweta third baseman, the Coweta shortstop, the Coweta second baseman. All of them just fell to their hips and just put their head down. You can see them going over there consoling each other. You can see Coach Dunn coming out talking to his players. And, she just feels so bad for him because we've been there before, when we lost to Carl Albert. And, they had won it. They wanted to win another one. They wanted to go back-to-back. And, we just kind of got in the way. But you feel for those kids, too. Because we don't know if Coweta busted their butt or what they did in the offseason. But they had to do something right to get to that point.
Yeah, it was not just talent.
So it was just, it's more than just talent. It's, it's work, it's time spent and all of that type of stuff. So, it's just not, you're not the only one out there busting your tail. You're not the only one. But it comes down to making that play at the right time. And I felt bad for the third baseman. She had a rough day today. She was a great player. She is a great player. She helped get him there. So you feel bad for her in a way, but you still feel good about your kids getting the win. But when you see that, you're like, wow. You can see the hurt, you can see the pain,
and you identify with it immediately.
Yeah, immediately, because you've been on both sides of the fence, and being on both sides of the fence, you can go tell that coach, hey, like I told Coach, hey, you do a great job with your kids. Too bad somebody had to lose. And he said the same thing to me. He said, I know. He said, y'all do a great job, and hey, y'all just got us today. Same thing with Pryor. It's the same thing. Next year could be the reverse. Because everybody has quite a few their core coming back. So it could be the same teams again. We're talking about Guthrie. Guthrie got quite a few kids coming back. They got beat out in the first round by Pryor. So what if Guthrie beats Coweta? So then all of a sudden you back in that. Oh, we got to play Guthrie again. So it was kind of crazy. There was 4 teams from my district, I believe, that made it. Us, El Reno, Guthrie, and I think there was 4 teams from my district that made it. So we was kind of familiar with some of the opponents.
That can work for you or against you.
And I know one time we were sitting up in there, we had seen everybody but Coweta, who we projected to be off in there. So he said, hey, I call him the control freak. I got to go. I said, where you going? He said, I'm going to watch Coweta play. I said, hey, I got practice. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. So he trusts me enough to run practice. So him and then one of our assistants went to watch Coweta to get an idea of what to expect from them. And he said, hey, they're 1 and 2 is fast. They can swing it. They can do this. They can do that. They can pitch it. They're just like us. And I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. So, all of a sudden we start preparing and getting ready and telling our kids, hey, this is what you got to do. So when that leadoff comes up, the leadoff is actually faster than the 2-hole. Hey, great wheels right here. Not great, but good one. You still got to be able to be ready to make that play, so you have to be ready. I mean, we was fortunate enough to where we got both of those kids to, ground out, a fly out, or even strike out, 2 out of 3 times.
Right.
So it was great for us. And the one hit she did get, we jammed her, but she had just enough strength to get it through the middle. So that's how the game tied up. And we're like, uh-oh. There goes old Mo. Yeah. Mo's starting to leave us. We better get old Mo. Come on back. You start pulling on the rope real hard because they pulling on it too.
Yeah.
So,
straight up tug of war, baby.
That's what it is. And we got out the inning, and all of a sudden we came in and we said, hey, ladies, don't panic. Let's do our thing right here. Let's get a runner on and see what happens. We got somebody on, and it worked out in our favor. So,
talk about you and KC's relationship.
Oh,
man.
God.
When did y'all meet and link up and start working together? Because that's an interesting contrast as you described it a couple sentences ago. Like, y'all are so different, but together, and it's like it's seamless the way y'all work, though.
I met him when I was right out of college. I was a baseball guy, and I was coming back to coach a Legion team. Guess who one of the players was? It was KC. So I didn't know what was going on previous till I got there. Because I had to wait till school was out, finish all my semester tests and all of that, didn't get back. So I come to practice the very first day. So I'm sitting there, and I'm hitting ground balls, and, we not meeting my expectations.
Right.
So I said, if we can't catch it, throw it, or hit it, catch it or throw it, we're not going to be able to get people out. This little knucklehead, Keith Coleman, makes a little comment, well, we better be a good hitting team. I said, did you say something? No. So that relationship developed from then on, and we had a good summer.
Right.
So as time flew on, he finished school and went on to college, and so did I. And I started coaching, and lo and behold, Ron Lancaster comes to Muskogee as a football guy. Mm-hmm. Me and Keith are on both sides of the ball on offense, so that's where that relationship kind of started. And he had some family issues, so he had to get out of football, and I got the job in softball. So that's when he started coaching softball, and we still communicated and talked and all of that because how much time we spent in football in the dungeon.
Right, built that kinship.
Yes, and so some things happened at Muskogee, some coaching changes, and I wasn't a part of those coaching changes, so I ended up doing middle school track. But he had a softball position opening, and he asked around, and he saw me and said, "I need to talk to you. Come down to my office." So I said, "All right, man, I'll be down there." So I come down there, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to have a softball position open this middle school, but here's the kicker. If you're going to do it, you have to do fast pitch and slow pitch, and you have to be in softball year round." So I was like, "All right, can I have a couple days to think about it?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So it was really a no-brainer. So I didn't want to seem like I was ready to jump at it, too anxious and stuff like that. So I came back.
Never make a move out of desperation.
So when I came back, I said, "Yeah, I'll do it," and it just kind of extended from there, and that started in 2013. So
almost a decade in. Huh?
Yeah, almost a decade in. So my wife was already working with them, so I helped her as being her junior high assistant. And a lot of people don't realize when it's different when you're doing middle school and high school softball because everybody practiced together, everybody worked together. Mm-hmm. So, if we had middle school on the field, high school would be in the cages, then you would just flip-flop it. I was in the cages, he was on the field. So when it come to game time, hey, who's swinging well? This kid is. Who's doing this on defense? That kid is. So it kind of worked out in our favor the way that we did it. So it was pretty cool, and it's been fun ever since. I remember our last year at Muskogee, we were state runner-up. We were 37-4, and that was our last year at Muskogee. Mm-hmm. We coached state final game, lost to Southmore in the spring, and in the fall we in Piedmont. So
just like that.
Just like that.
Golly.
It just kind of worked out to where we were able to move, and some things happened at Muskogee. They was making some moves as far as upper management and coaches, and they felt that we wouldn't be conducive to what Muskogee was trying to do. Mm-hmm. So this opportunity came up, and my wife jumped at it and took it, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah. And you've worked with and for a lot of people, man.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? And so what I'm curious to know about that particular journey of yours, because you're a particular type of dude, you know what I'm saying? Those who don't know Coach Hughes, you know what I mean, they may have some mixed feelings about you, but I know you well. I'm like, man, he's a solid guy. You just don't be skinning and grinning in people's face all the time. But what I'm gearing up to ask you is, has every coaching situation you've been in, have they all been with or under somebody who lets you be you?
Yes. I think the biggest thing is, what people don't understand, is you're going to take something from every head coach you work with.
Right.
Positive or negative, the good with the bad. And the biggest thing that I've noticed, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Mm-hmm. Ron Lancaster was different than Terry Scott. Terry Scott was different than Benita Gay. Benita Gay was different than some other coaches that I work with. Tony Peters was different. It's just all about how you can get the best out of your kid at that particular time. And you may go about it different. Lancaster never fussed at a kid. He would always fuss at the coach.
You would tell me that, and I thought that was wild.
And you come to find out, the reason he had a degree in psychology. So if I'm coaching this kid over here, hey, you need to do this, okay? Then if the kid messes up, Lancaster would say, hey, why is that kid messing up? I was like, what you talking about, coach? Did you go over it on 7-on-7? Yes, coach, I walked him through it. Did you go over, draw it up on the board? Yes, coach, I walked him through it. Did you do it in your individual? Yes, coach, we talked about it. Obviously not, because he doesn't have it. He may have been fussing me out. He didn't say it that calmly. He may have been fussing me out, but he's actually telling that kid, if he drew it up on the board, he went over it individual, he went over it in team, pre-team, then you should have it. And I didn't realize that till 2 or 3 years in. We were going to play a semifinal game, and it was cold outside. And I was like, oh, we're screwing up. He's going to start us over. And sure enough, he goes off on everybody. And I'm like, golly. And he eases by me, and he says, coach, don't worry. Your kids are the only ones that's prepared. And I was floored. I was like, I didn't understand it at the time. But ever since he said that to me, he never said anything about my kids being prepared or anything like that. And I didn't take being prepared for granted. I worked even harder to make sure my kids were prepared, knew what was going on and all of that type of stuff. And he would always ease by me, hey, your kids are prepared. Your kids are prepared. He would always let me know that my kids was ready to play on Friday night based on what we did. I mean, you could be doing a drill and you see, oh, Lancaster way up there. So next thing you know, he right behind your neck. Just, okay, yeah. All right, then he going about his business. But
as long as he heard what he wanted to hear.
He heard what he wanted to hear, saw what he wanted to see, and saw that you were working. And the big thing with him is you always have to do it where it's like simulated game time. You know, you just don't play catch. Kids have to move their feet and catch because you just don't catch a ball flat-footed in football or whatever you're doing. You have to try to simulate a game as much as you can.
Gotcha.
Simulate your drills as well as practice as much as you can. And that's what we try to do in softball. We try to simulate it as much as we can. I can't hit 15 ground balls in the same spot. But I can set up the pitching machine, see where it's falling, put out 4 buckets. You start here, and just rotate through the buckets. Catch it, go to this bucket. So you catch one going to the right, going to the left, coming forward, going back, and it's just a circle. And I got 3 buckets of balls, just feed them two. And you got 15 kids, so every kid's rotating around. Before you know it, you go through 3 buckets. Every kid has 5 to 6 reps. Then you just reverse the order.
That's efficient.
And they just doing it again. Boom, boom, boom. They're catching the ball going left, going right, in front, behind. Because I can't simulate, okay, here you go. I'm trying to hit this over your head. I can't do that. So here you go. And the key is they can't move till they see the ball come out of the machine. So they have to be ready. And I would put it in there, just kind of hold it. You better not flinch. Then let it go. All of a sudden they got to react. And that's the closest that I could get to reacting to a game. So, you know, they looking at it, and the best thing I could tell them is, no matter what position you're playing, if you're playing right field and the right-hand batter's up, look in the right-hand batter's box. If you're playing left field, look out in front of the hitter. You try to pick it up off the bat so you can get a good chance to get a good jump. True. You can tell when the ball is coming to you. If you're paying attention and looking where I tell you, oh, that ball going to right field, so I got to go over here. Run at first base, run every scenario through your head of what's going on, because you may have to go more than one place at a particular time. If there's an overthrow or something happens, you know, you have to be ready to go. You better be paying attention to 2, because Keith's crazy enough to call the pitch out, throw behind. So you got to be ready for that. As soon as you see that happening, boom, you got to react to that too. So, you know, you're just not a spectator, you're a participator. We always tell them, people pay to watch you play. Yeah. You're not coming along for the ride. You come along to play.
That's real.
You know, you're not one of the 22 just because.
Yeah.
We may have to use you at some point in time.
And you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, Spencer, with you being such a proponent of preparation, how did the COVID-19 pandemic affect y'all's operation on a day-to-day last year? Did y'all find some time, yourselves a situation where, man, we had to sit out some practices because, and now we're going into a game blind?
Well, we didn't have to sit out any practices. We had to make sure that we mask up. We made sure that on the buses we had certain kids in certain spots. We made sure in our locker room who was next to who. We told our kids, anytime you go in the locker room, make sure you have a mask on. Now, the rule was, if you was in the dugout, you had to mask up. But if you were out in the field, you could take your mask down. So when you were ever in a crowd, you had to mask up. And that kind of, as far as practicing goes, like in the game, you share a ball. But no, not when COVID. You pitch your own balls.
Facts.
So you know, all of that type of stuff. And we sanitize helmets because we like to be a team, so we have team helmets, so we had to sanitize helmets and make sure people didn't touch other people's stuff. And it was like, okay, you got to take care of this before this could happen. You have to worry about this before that can happen.
Proactive.
And all of that type of stuff. And our athletic director and our athletic department and our superintendent were real supportive of what we were trying to do. You couldn't have as many people in the stands, so they cleared it to where people would back their trucks up the right field and be out there like tailgating and all of that type of stuff during the game. So that was a great thing. I mean, it affected everybody about the same. How you adapted to it and how you overcame it, and what you were, you know, what the expectation was from the mask and all of that type of stuff. Because we got pictures of where I'm talking to the kids in the huddle with the mask. So if we're in a game, it wasn't any different because Keith would always be on one end of the dugout, I would always be on the other. The kids would always be in the center. So just in case he got quarantined, I was nowhere near him, so I could probably coach the team. If I got quarantined, it was okay because he wasn't near me, so he could still be with the team. So we tried to keep ourselves separated in that way, but we always have done that because
y'all styles are so different.
Styles are different. Because I got outfield, so I want to be as closest to the right fielder or left fielder as I can during the game.
Yep.
So it doesn't sound like he may be saying something and I'm saying something and it gets garbled up.
Yep.
So if I'm out here and he's down here saying this and I'm saying that, it's projected in a different way.
Right.
So the kids can hear me and they can hear him and all of that type of stuff.
Y'all been socially distancing yourselves for a long time.
Yeah, even before social distancing was fashionable.
Come on now. Speaking of that whole thing, did y'all have I don't want to say lose, that's too final of a word. Did y'all get affected by any of your players or any of your coaches on the staff?
Oh yeah, it was several players that got quarantined and next man up.
Yeah.
You know, that one year we went 30-7, I believe. We had Carissa Figner hurt her. She got a contusion on her hip, so she couldn't play.
Right.
Peyton Gray got quarantined. Paisley Clark got quarantined. So we would have kids get quarantined based on who they were around, based on being at school and stuff like that.
But it didn't shut the whole team down for 2 weeks.
No, it didn't shut the whole team down
good.
because the rule was who was she around and all of that, and they would quarantine that little area.
Right.
So that's why we told our kids, hey, watch where you go, watch what you do, watch who you hang around, at least from August to October, you know, because we have to know.
Yep.
You know, and they did a real good job of that, but some of it couldn't be helped. I mean, if Bubba got it, my son got it, then I'm not going to avoid my son. You know, we had a player's little brother get it, so that had to quarantine her. She didn't get it, but her little brother got it, so that had to quarantine her. So sometimes it was family members getting it, sometimes it was being a quarantine based off who you were around at that particular time. So, I mean, it affected everybody, but like we said, if you prepare everybody, you just can't spend time with your upper echelon. You got to coach them puppies too, because guess what, puppy? You out there in the field, you got to go play now.
You got to know what's happening.
You got to know what's happening. And we had some kids step up and do some great things. You know, make some plays for us to keep, you know, the district title alive and keep the, you know, the undefeated streak in district alive. So, and they made some plays for us, and they did a great job. So
as much coaching as you've done, and you talked briefly earlier about the similarities and differences from sport to sport. What about the similarities and differences from coaching girls and boys?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is you can't treat girls like boys. I mean, they're a little bit more sensitive to what you want, and they really try hard to work for you. They really try hard to do what you want to do. Boy may be a little bit defiant, you know, because they get at that age, you can't tell me nothing.
You got to touch that stove, man.
Yeah, you know, you got to, But with girls, it's a little different. You know, you can still fuss at them, but you also got to be loving on them too. You got to tell them when they do good, when they do bad, and I try to do that with both of them. But boys, you can kind of ride a little bit more and kind of let some stuff go. You can kind of ease by them. Hey, it's a good job right there, and then you know, be loud and jump on them the next time. But girls, you better be loud when you praise them. Be loud when you don't. You know, so they can know that hey, you're not going to change. And that's what the big thing is. I think the biggest difference between boys and girls work just as hard as boys.
Yes, I agree with that.
They work just as hard as boys. They spend just as much time as boys, and they're just as fun to coach as boys. But a lot of people think if you're not doing a boys' sport, you're not doing anything, which is so far from the truth.
No.
You know, it's still about being competitive and working and getting that. You know, the biggest thing was when we started lifting weights. You know, like girls not supposed to lift. Why not?
I hate that.
Why not?
That's a gimmick. Man.
I said, now here's the thing. I said a girl may be doing 15 pounds, a boy may be doing 150, but they still getting the same benefit. 15 pounds to her is 150 pounds to him. They're getting the same benefit. They can squat, they can clean, they can snatch, they can do split squats, they can Bulgarian squat, they can do all of that. And girls will like it a lot more because they've never done it.
Right.
And once they realize, oh, I don't have to lift heavy to get stronger. No, you can use this bar right here.
And they can see the differences.
Hell, once they start seeing the differences, it's over.
It's over.
They just want to start showing it off and all of that type stuff and everything. But once they find out, it's okay to lift. And it helps me. Oh, yeah, girls are very receptive to it.
Right. Have you thought about this piece right here? Because I coach boys right now, as you know. And one thing that kind of amazes me, I used to think the difference was a little more lopsided in favor of the boys, but not a whole lot of them actually watch the sport that they play as a fan. Like whenever they leave practice or the game or whatever that arena, they flip that switch off. And I thought that was primarily a girl thing in my younger days.
I noticed with our players will go watch softball.
Yeah,
they'll go watch it. You know, they like OU. Having OU in the Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City and around this area, softball's real big.
Right.
So our girls will go watch OU play. They'll go, you know, play club and do all of that type of stuff because they love it. And they'll watch it on TV. See? And they got their favorite players and all of this type of stuff and everything, but they watch it a lot more than what people think. And, you know, because we'll tell them, hey, you need to watch Georgia playing Alabama. You need to watch OU playing Texas. You need to watch OSU and this. Because OSU and OU have gone to the College World Series the past 2 years. and then it's all in Oklahoma City at the Hall of Fame. So that's consuming Oklahoma. So and softball is really growing a lot in Oklahoma. There's only 5 states that played in the fall, and we're one of them. So it's really hard to try to plan a trip and go around, but it's really good because our girls can go watch those college kids in the spring, and those college coaches can come watch our girls as far as in the fall. And we try to do a lot of things to help with recruiting. We have a prospect camp at our facility. We try to do a lot of things to get them seen by other coaches and things like that. So, it's to the point now where we're doing a club. We have 2 club teams now. I actually coach one this year. It took me 6 years to get me involved.
Good segue. You already know that's where I'm going.
This is my first experience at it, and I lean a lot on him as far as how should we do this, how this goes. And he said you'll figure it out as you go, and you'll understand why you will beat better teams than what you are because you're going to play softball. A lot of coaches won't make adjustments, but you will, and you'll see as time goes on and things like that. So, it's the same way, just preparing those kids and getting ready. Now, every kid you have on your club team is not all Piedmont kids.
True.
You'll have some kids from, I got a kid from Minko, great player. Got a kid from Westmore, good player. And I got a couple other kids from other cities that are real good players. I got one from Putnam City North. She's a good player. And, you try to coach them just as hard, to try to teach them how to play the game as well. So when they go back, they'll be prepared because they're all young. They're 14, 15. You want them to go be able to play at their school and show how much they improve. Yeah, and show how much you improve so you can get on the field for your team. So, and that's the big thing. And having the parents, the only difference between club and high school is I don't have to worry about getting them there. It's their parents' job to get them there.
There you go.
So my big thing is I got to make sure that I'm there before they're there so, we can be ready to go. And I try to do it the same way we do high school. We're there an hour before, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do. We're going to start warming up at this time, and we start rolling. Once you do it a couple of times, they already know. Once they see me walking down there with my stuff, here they come with their stuff, and they get in their little groups, and we go through our warm-up and do everything to get ready to play.
Listen, so there's really there ain't no off-season for you, my man.
Well, wintertime, okay. I get 10 weeks. We take from what I consider off-season is not have to do any softball after school.
Yeah, I'm talking about Coleman Hughes.
Yeah, so what we do is they lift weights with the strength coach. We'll have them doing 7th hour doing cardio, send them home at 3 o'clock. That is our off-season.
Yeah.
So not doing any softball from November, December, part of January. And we'll pick back up last week of January, probably 1st of February. We'll start doing it all over again. So basically that's about 10 weeks off. And we told them, ladies, don't pick up a softball. Don't do this, don't do that. Give your body time to rest and heal up. You're going to be lifting weights. You're going to be doing some cardio. So you don't have to pick it up if you don't want to. If you choose to, that's fine. But we recommend that you take some time off. Because you've played from February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October
is when it is.
9 months.
9 months.
Take them 3 months to rest.
Good point, man.
And enjoy yourself. Enjoy being a teenager.
Right.
Because you're going to play softball. You're going to, you're just going to play softball. Enjoy those 3 months.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned about you over the years that I've known you, you're very active, man. I mean physically. And you go through your different phases where like, all right, I'm about to jump on this diet. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm about to get this type of workout in. And you're always moving. Man, what does that do for you?
Having young kids and, being able to get out and go and watch them play and play catch with them and participate with them means a lot. I have to keep myself in shape because people think, he's going to have a heart attack. He's going to stress out. They just don't know. I put myself under a lot more stress as far as working out and all of that type of stuff. You was up here in Piedmont. We'd be up there late at night. I'm trying to tell the new people, hey, when you're in here lifting at night, you hear some noise. That's just a collect. As long as you're doing what you want to do, they ain't gonna bother you. People think I was crazy. That's facts. That's facts. And because I asked Schofield, I said, "Hey, you hear voices shit?" He's like, "Yeah, man. I ain't nobody but the collect. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, they ain't gonna bother you." But we always try to find ways to get me a workout in and stuff like that. For longevity reasons. I had a brother die at 39 from hypertonic cardiomyopathy. Big, long word. High blood pressure led to a heart attack. My father died of a heart attack at 77. So I got young kids I want to be around for them. I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be able to hold when they have kids. So I have to do things to try to keep myself in shape. Now, as you get older, I have to leave my ego in check now. I have to leave my ego at the door.
I got you.
I'm used to doing, 35s on each side. Oh, we got to cut that down to some 10s. But it's still working out.
Right.
So, and that's the big thing. And, finding alternatives to running and, all of that type of stuff. But I still try to do as much as I can as far as Olympic lifting. It's just lighter. That's all it is.
More reps, huh?
Yeah, and, it's hard to get rid of that stomach, man, because I like to eat.
Yeah, man. I tell people all the time, man, I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to enjoy what I
like to eat. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, when I say I'm dieting, I really have to. Diet is not necessarily dieting. It's just trying to cut back and consume less soda, less sodium. Instead of eating this Three Musketeers, which sure sounds good, grab the banana. Instead of eating, 3 and 4 plates. My wife's good spaghetti, and
Listen, her spaghetti's legendary, man. Come on, man.
Cut it down a little bit, instead of when she makes the meatloaf, instead of eating 3 slices, just
gradually,
and stuff like that. You just kind of cut back and just kind of going from there.
Yeah.
And the big thing is, if I can grind it out, and my son sees me grinding out, my daughter sees me grinding out, when they play sports, they'll know that, hey, Dad's pretty serious. Just like when we go to a game or something like that. I coached my club team in the tournament this summer. They were both in the dugout. Bubba was like the assistant coach. He's sitting over there. We had a player get froze on a changeup. Bubba said, "Daddy, that changeup was nasty, wasn't it?" And the kids looked at him like, "You know what the changeup? Yeah, he know what the changeup is." And I said, he's playing football and he's on the D line and the O line. I said, "Son, you need to watch one side. Watch Jerome Brown. Watch those older players before you. You can learn things from them and listen to what they're saying about playing defense and things like that. You need to watch the game to learn the game and understand the game." And he has a pretty good idea. He'll sit and watch basketball, watch football. He'll know players, know numbers. You remember that one time when he came up there, he came in locker room, that's Kale's number. That's such and such number.
Yep.
We look at each other like, boy, how that boy know all them folks' numbers?
A student of the game.
Watching the game and, just listening and learning. And he has a pretty good grasp of football concepts, basketball concepts, and baseball concepts. So, that's the start.
Yeah.
He's 10, so
Golly, that's crazy.
The big thing for me is I have to sit back and just let him play. I can't be, so intense sometimes. I get to the point where, and this may sound crazy to some people, that sometimes I don't even go watch him play because I still want him to care about the game. Because I will get into the point where I will get way too intense.
Right.
I'll get way too mad at him, and I don't want to be mad at my son over a bad play that he makes. I still want him to enjoy it. I don't try to force him to go hit. Daddy, can we go hit? Sure, let's go.
Let's do it.
If you want to go play catch, yeah, let's go play catch. But I don't say, well, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. If I force him to do it, if I force feed him, he won't love it as much.
Right.
If I let him gradually work his way into it where he says, Daddy, I want to go hit. And I'm then like, oh, yeah, let's go hit. Let's go do this, let's go do that. Just like when I'm at the park and he's around, people want to be a coach until they realize what coaches got to do, right?
Oh,
hey, you got to pick up these balls. You got to put this. You got to lock that. You got to do all of this type of stuff. And I take him with me so he can see. He'll be around the kids and watching them do drills and listening. And just like at the state tournament, when I'm, talking to my little pregame speech, I didn't know he was back there listening, but somebody took a picture of him. He like there. Locked in, just listening. And I talk to him just like I talk to all my players. You have to be doing this, this, and this. This is what we're working for. This is why we lift. This is why we practice. This is why we do this. This is why we do that. And if he hears that enough, eventually he's going to go to another coach, and the coach going to look at him, hey, you need to do this. Yes, sir. No problem. And he'll go and do it because he's heard it before. He understands from my perspective and how I feel about it, and how intense I am about it. He'll understand why that coach is the way he is too, because it's a livelihood for us. It's not recreation.
No,
and that's the big difference. People don't understand. This is our livelihood. This is how I put food in his mouth, clothes on his back. So that's the way I am. So if he's fortunate enough to be able to make a living doing this, I'm cool with that. If he can get a college education out of this, I'm even cooler with that. You know what I mean? So that's the big thing. If he can see me grinding it out and doing things for him, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he'll come home and boom, oh, Daddy, you want me a pair of shoes? Yeah. Why? It's because you're you. Same way with Harper. If you're doing what you're supposed to, it's the baby girl cry. Yes. If they doing what they're supposed to be doing and not getting in trouble at school and all of that type of stuff, I try to reward that as much as I can. Reinforce the positive behavior. Now, when they screw up, if I can't get to them fast enough, their mama getting to them.
Yeah, neither one of y'all play no games. I've seen you in action. But I'm going to tell you, you said something, you may not even remember this, but it was years ago when Harper was a tiny type. And what made me think of this a moment ago is when you said you talk to Big Dog right here the same way as you talk to your players. I remember you told me that you would tell people whenever they would come talk to Harper or pick her up when she was a baby, no baby talk.
No baby talk. No,
Talk to her
that's true.
Regular words.
Because I don't want, ain't no goo-goo. No, she ain't going to be going around talking goo-goo gaga. Talk to her like she's a normal person. If you want to talk to her, Harper, how are you? And stuff like that. So help her with her phonics and understand, speaking, because it helps them to understand what you're trying to tell them. And it helps them, develop phonics at a young age.
Right.
Because kids are going to struggle to say certain words anyway. So don't confuse them with goo goo, gaga, and bitty bitty bitty. It's okay to play games with them, but still use that tone and that English of talking like you're talking to an adult.
Right.
You understand that we know they're a child.
True.
But it's just I just don't believe in it's okay to do some games, cool a little bit, but the less you cool with them, the faster their speech develops. The more they understand, because like I tell people, the most important grades for a child is K through 3. Nothing changes after 3rd grade. It just gets bigger. You only can do 4 things with math. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Knowing when to is the big thing. Once you understand subject, verb, 8 parts of speech, nothing changes. They just add to it. And that's all it is. Spelling, you got 26 letters of the alphabet. Where them letters go, that's what you have to figure out as you get older. So if you get them to understand the basics early, everything else is just a learning curve or a learning process. And once they figure out that learning curve or learning process, they'll be okay. When they say the apple don't fall far from the tree, it doesn't. Most kids act like their parents do. You have very few exceptions. But if you're pretty good in school, your child will be pretty good in school. They value what you value. They watch you. People say, oh, who's your hero? Kid may say such and such on TV when he's young, but technically that's not true. He's going to imitate his mother, his father, his aunt, his uncle, or whomever he lives with.
Who was grooming him?
Yes. That's what, and then when they get older, they'll realize that Charles Barkley ain't my hero. I like watching Michael Jordan play, but I mimic Nudie Hughes. Nudie Hughes worked 28 years at the phone company without missing a day. You mean to tell me I can't get up in the snow and go to Piedmont Public Schools and go to work every day, and I get to work inside and he worked outside? Ooh. Please give me a break.
Dude, he dropping jewels on me, smooth.
Don't do that. And my daddy always, the one thing I always remember about him, he said, help out where you can, when you can. If you can't, find somebody that can. He said, and I always will remember that. He said, because ain't nobody going to take care of you. You have to learn to take care of yourself. And I'm glad that he prepared me the way that he did. Do we still need help? Yes. Do we still rely on family? Yes. Does family rely on us? We always do. It takes everybody to try to make it in this world, because it's just the way the world is. You may have to borrow from your family may have to borrow from you. You may have to do some things for your family have to do some things for you. We wouldn't be in this house if it wasn't for family. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to raise our kids the way we do if it wasn't for family.
True that.
So, you help each other out when you can, where you can, and how you can. It's just kind of the way it is. That's just life. People think, oh, that's my family. Once he gets 18, he grown, he gone.
That's the worst thing you can do.
No.
I didn't know shit at 18.
I'm
telling you.
Yeah, you still need your parents. You still need your parents to this very day for some advice or philosophies or just anything like that. I wish I could 2 things that I always wish. I can still hear my daddy's laugh over here, and I can still hear Kiba's laugh. But I'd give anything in the world to hear it live. I could got to memory, but just to see them, just to see their face one more time. Just to hear him laugh. I used to get frustrated because he started getting dementia as he got older. Harper and Bubba never got past a certain age to him. He said, Harper walking yet? Yeah, Dad, she's starting to walk. She been walking. You know what I'm saying? So it's things that you have to learn to accept and just understand and just kind of go on.
Right.
And there's things that you have to you can tell that they're getting up in that age. That may be me one day. And things like that. But fortunate enough for me that I understood and knew about that and understood what was going on, that I had enough patience to bear with him to just answer his questions. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people just want to, put him away or whatever. And I'm not saying that is it a bad thing, but it was to the point, it wasn't me. He'd walk around the park, bring everything home. Whatever he found in his park, he'd bring it home. But he always walked around the park every day for his health and all of that type of stuff and everything once he retired. And I think he had a good retirement. I think he had a good life. His biggest thing was, I want to make sure my kids are educated. We are. I want to be sure that my kids can be able to take care of themselves. We can, But, that was the big thing. Everybody looked like, who's your hero? Back then, it wasn't my dad. But now, by far, it
Without
is.
question.
Without question. People ask me, I said, Charles Barkley never worked 28 years and not missed a day, rain, sleet, snow, storm, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Cold or whatever.
He didn't feed your crazy stuff.
He told me, first time I remember him saying, Daddy, you're not going to work? No, they gave me some EWP day. I said, EWP said, yeah, excuse with pay. He said, I ain't never knew no days without that. they paying me to stay at home.
That's a man's man right there.
So he's talking about, we're going to clean up, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And, it kind of surprised him that he got an EWP there working for the phone company. Mm-hmm. He come in and first time he started working there, he got his first raise, a quarter an hour. He's like, I get raises too? Because he was always used to working in and out odd jobs. And once he got this, that's 40 hours a week, getting this and all of that type stuff. You get raises, you get health benefits, you get to invest, and you get time. That's one thing he found out as he got older. He told us, hey, you get your first job, yeah, save $50 a month. Why, man? You do what I'm telling you to do. Okay. Because if you never get it or never receive it, you never miss it. So when you get your first check, you always start saving. And then you increase every time. And then when you retire, you'll have something that you can retire. And he said, don't depend on just your telephone retirement or your teacher retirement or your Social Security. You want to have at least 3. So I got, teacher retirement, I have Social Security, and I have my own setup. So, and that's what they do. That's why he was able to retire and, go watch Joey play and still take vacations and still come watch me play and do all the things that they like to do.
Yeah. And my daddy used to say, pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Always. Mm-hmm. And then you said something to me years ago again. I'm telling you, I be listening, man, about your dad that was a little bit different, and it took you a while to understand it. Like when you were younger, a lot of your friends and people close to you, he would go the extra mile and do a lot for them that you wouldn't necessarily see. Like, man, you don't do that for me, man. Why you do that to them? Explain that. That was
wild. I was watching TV. He came in, and he had just got off work, and he was taking a shower to go to bed because he had to get up and go to work within 4 hours. He said, hey, when the guy knocked on the door, get us to him. And he gave me some money. Me trying to be sneaky, trying to see how much it is. He said, you want to know how much it is? It's $100. So a couple of days went by, and I was like, Daddy, can I have $2? No, you can't have $2. And I was like, man, let me ask you something. I said, you're going to give this dude $100, but I asked you for $2. You have a fit over $2. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you something, son. He said, I know you taken care of. I know you got food. I know you got home. I know you got clothes. I don't know about him. I said, I'm trying to help him out, but you don't need it because you got me. I don't know his situation, his philosophy. I just know he's my friend, and he needed to borrow some money. Now, you don't need no money. You ain't got no car. There's plenty of food in the refrigerator. So what you need $2 for?
Messed you up, right?
I just walked off. But now that I'm older, I understand what he's talking about. I know what he means. To be able to do for yourself and to be able to help someone along. Because like he said, he needed help. And people helped him. So he would pass it. He said, hey, make sure you pass it forward. And that's my big thing is, and the way I try to help is through coaching. I might not be able to help you financially, but I got enough knowledge to help you be a better player or better athlete, to make you better. And that's my biggest pet peeve is I don't want to be that guy that gets outworked. Yeah. People talk about, you out there hustling. Yeah, I'm like Cat Williams. I'm out there hustling in softball. I will not be out hustled at softball. Right. I do not want to be out hustled at anything that I do as far as coaching goes. And I don't know if hustle is a good word or a bad word, but I'm out here. We can say grinding. You can say grinding, hustling, or whatever you want to call it. But my hustle is softball. Mm-hmm. My hustle is working for Piedmont schools. I want to be at work, do my job, and I want to hustle at this softball because I want to win. We was talking the other day, we're going through the ring process and the banners, the pictures and all of that, and we sit up thinking in the back of our mind, okay, what we got to do to get ready for next year? Who we losing? Who's coming? We folded up, getting uniforms, strapping around the numbers. I already know who's going to have this number, this number, this number. We have a simulated depth chart for next year of what we expect, but some kid may come in and push on that depth chart. We tell all the kids, because I see those 8th graders coming to be 9th graders, hey, show me you can handle it, we'll put you in the game. For real? Katie Meyer got to play, didn't she? Kelly Rocco got to play, didn't she? Wasn't they freshman last year?
It's within reach.
It's within reach for you. It's how bad you want it. So if you want to play, hey, you got to show us you can handle it. At practice, guess what? Hey, you're going to be out there playing. Don't look around because it's going to be back on you. So
that's why talking to me. I look away.
Don't look around because it's going to fall on you. So that's why we practice. That's why we work. Mm-hmm. We try to find your weakness and develop it. And we try to enhance your strengths. So that's the big thing. So we're just kind of going from there. We're looking forward to the players we got coming in. We all know them by name. We know a position they're going to have a chance to play for us, and we know a position they don't have a chance to play for us. Right. So if a kid come in and say, yeah, coach, I want to do that. No, you're not going to do that for us. We'll give you a shot at it, but you're going to be over here first. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we see in you.
True that.
And it's not like we're not going to try to make a catcher a center fielder.
Right.
We may make them a catcher or a corner person, depending on their skill level, because they've played those positions before. And we like what we see here more than we like what we see here. Or we like her here because we already have 3 or 4 people here.
Right.
So we're trying to develop our program to where we have kids that come in that could help us at this spot because we already got what we need right here.
That's always an interesting thing to me because kids hear that as you telling them that you're incapable of doing this job. And it's like, no, that's not it.
That's not it.
You know what I'm saying? We got enough here.
You got enough here.
We need a little more over here.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, like if we have a junior, sophomore, and a freshman catcher that's pretty good, and you come in and this kid right here is pretty good, and she's showing us that she can handle it, we'll try to put you in a position where you can get on the field a lot quicker. Now, if you want to sit back here and fight for that catcher, go right on ahead.
Yeah, for 3-4
But you
years.
got a lot to climb to get between the lines. So, would you want to get the quickest way to get between the lines, or let us do our job and find out? Now, we'll give you a chance to catch. Yeah, we'll see what you can do and things like that. But we talking varsity. If you want to be on the field when it counts,
This is what we need.
this is what we need. And that's what we try to project and try to do.
Here's how we're going to wrap it up, Coach Hughes, man.
Okay.
Listen, with all due disrespect, all right? I want you to think back in the archives of all the games you've ever coached, right? In any sport, whichever one you want to go to, and you can give me more than one, but one game you can't use is when y'all lost, y'all being Piedmont, when you lost in the finals.
Okay.
All right? A game that you would go back to where a team beat you that didn't have no business beating y'all. And if you could go back and run that game back, you go right back to it. Which one or ones would you go to?
2005 Mustang, 2007 Tulsa Union, 2010 Putnam City North basketball. 1998 was a toss-up because we was playing Owasso and they were great. 1998 baseball. All those games I just told you about, the teams were good and we were good too, but we just didn't play our best game. And we had just as much talent, just as much skill as they had, but we just didn't execute what we were supposed to do at those particular times. Those games stick out. I can still see the play when we playing Union, score 13-7 in SU. We call trips, 80 vertical off switch, CJ running wide open. The ball's just right outside of his fingertips, 2 inches. I can still see that play in my head. I can remember after that game, the season was over. And it was a Friday night. We report to work on Saturday at 7 o'clock because if we won, we would have went and played, getting ready for the next game. I was the only one that showed up at work. And I'm sitting there just watching the game. Oh, we could have did this. Oh, we could have did that. And I just ran that play over and over because he's running wide open. And it's not like our quarterback didn't see him. It's not like our quarterback didn't know. It was just a game of inches. It was just 2 inches too long.
Yep.
When we was playing Mustang, I can still see Josh Cooper. We drive down the field. I can hear Lancaster, hey, don't score too quick. We don't want to give them the ball. We gave them the ball with 90 seconds. 4th and 17, they convert. And I can still see Josh Cooper in front of me. That same play I had with CJ, his was just 2 inches short, and he took his fingertips out there, hauled it in, and I got missed a tackle, and he runs a touchdown. We lose that one 48-44. People still talk about that football game.
Golly.
And you're sitting up thinking like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? But, I mean, those games stick out in my mind the most.
More than the wins.
Always. It ain't, the wins come and go, but the losses always stay with you because you always think about what could you have done differently as a coach to help put your kids in a position to win.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing a coach is trying to do is put his kids in a position to where they have success and where they can win. And when you put them in a position and you don't win, it's because you put them in a bad spot. Or there's something that you could have did differently, a coach somewhere differently to give that kid a chance to make that play or whatever it may be. And maybe you couldn't have done anything different, but it always falls back to you.
Yeah.
Kids never lose. Kids always win. Coaches always lose. Coaches always lose. And, I don't... a lot of people want to hey, if you'd have did this different, you'd have did that differently, we would have won the game. Okay, that's your philosophy. I understand that. You're upset right now. But I'm sitting in the back of my mind, you ain't no more upset than I am. I said, you don't think that how much time we've spent and worked and planned and thought about how to win this game? You think we just going out there? You think we just going out there just letting them play? You think we haven't covered that or went over that and all of this type of stuff? Obviously, when we covered it, there was something that we didn't say or it's stress or something like that. I don't know what it was, but that's the big thing is try to prepare them for every situation or scenario that could possibly come their way on every single pitch, every single play, or when runners at first and second, or first and thirds, or, nobody on, nobody out, one person on, know the situation, know if it's the first in the inning, they're not going to do this, but late in the game, they might do this. So that's why you scout and watch film and watch other people. And the biggest thing that I always know is you better know who that coach is. Because if you don't know that coach and don't know some of his tendencies, philosophies, or what he likes to do early in the game versus late in the game, he will get you. Because you have tendencies as a coach too.
Yeah.
So if you have a tendency to do this late and not this early, we're going to wait till that time comes. And let's see if he does it. He does, boom, we're going to counteract that. And that's one of our biggest things. It's a chess match.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got the right pieces because he going to have the right pieces for what he wants to do. And hopefully when it comes down to it, you take his king and he doesn't take yours. So that's the big thing. It's just a chess match. And it comes down to who executes it the best towards the end. Because if it's 0-0 in the seventh, somebody has to make a play. Somebody has to get on base. And if that one runner gets on base, they're going to bunt. You better be able to field this bunt. You better get it out. They're probably going to bunt again. You better get another one. Because if not, we're going to do it till you get us out. If you show us that you can't handle a bunt or can't field the bunt or don't change your defenses or don't do this or don't do that,
ain't changing that.
We're going to do this. If you change your defense, okay, we're going to tell our kid, hey, do this. So there's always countermeasures for everything you do. The question is, can you execute it? And that's the biggest thing. And we tell our kids, oh, I didn't do this. Yeah, it's our fault. We set in the mind, you got to get the butt down. You got to do this in certain situations. And that's kind of what it comes down to, especially in a 1-0 ball game or 1-1 ball game. 6th to 7th, you get that one run across play, you get that lead. Shoot, you talking about, hey, we got to do this, we got to be ready. It kind of changes everything. It takes the pressure off of you if you got the lead and puts the pressure on them. How do they handle it? If it's the other way around, how do you handle the pressure? What are you going to do? And that's what we always tell kids. So don't get too high, don't get too low. Always on the even keel until the 21st out is made. And when you look up at that scoreboard, you want to see 2-1, you ahead. Then you can celebrate. And that's the big thing.
Man, I can sit here and rap with you all day long, man. I appreciate you dropping all this knowledge on me, dog. This was a blast.
You've been around some Hall of Fame coaches. You got rings. So, it's just about getting to that point. And, everybody goes about it differently.
That's a fact.
All sports go about it differently. But just getting to that point is what the goal is. Like I always say, everybody starts, it's like a triangle. Everybody starts here. But as the season goes on, that triangle comes to a point.
Ooh-wee.
Who's going to be at the top? Who's going to be the number one in whatever class you are, whether it's 4A, 5A, 6A, A, B. Because I don't care how many teams it is. It could be 32, 64, 85, 152. Everybody, this is the start of the season. And see who's going to be at the one that's going to be at the very top of that pinnacle. And that's what you want to be, is the one at the very top. Like Rick James had that song, Standing on the Top. That's it. You want to be standing on the top.
Always got a historical reference. I'm rooting for you like always, my brother.
All right, you too, man. Take care of yourself, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.